This is the Power Platform Daily Brief from CRM Audio. For Wednesday, July 31st, 2019, what you need to know about the Power Platform today in 10 minutes or less. I'm Brad Koontz. So we have an exciting guest today. Today we have Matt Wittemann with us. He is a 14-time MVP. Matt, you had to be in the first class of business application MVPs, I would think. That's a long time.
I think there were a handful of others who came before me, but yeah, it's been quite a long time, quite a ride.
That's a long time. So for that period, you were working with Click Dimensions during that time, but I hear that you have some big professional news that you're about to embark on.
That's right. I've been with Click Dimensions since 2011, since the startup days in John Gravely's basement. But I have just made a big change, and I'm really excited to announce that I am joining Hitachi Solutions here in the U.S. and a great team there. And a big physical move too, right? Because were you in Amsterdam? I was in The Hague in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Was over there for a little over a year, running pre-sales for Click Dimensions, and back in the U.S. To join Hitachi.
Back stateside. Well, that's fantastic news, and I work for Hitachi as well, so look forward to working with you. So, take me back real quick to the start of Click Dimensions, and I say that Click Dimensions has always been one of the ISVs that we've really enjoyed recommending and working with, and we have always had a number of co-customers. So I'm very curious about about how that came to be the successful ISV that it is today.
Yeah, it was. It was a great time. I mean, I think it's a time that maybe can't be recaptured. Just the whole channel and dynamics and the Power Platform has matured so much that I don't know if you could have the same kind of startup feel. It was breaking new ground, introducing email marketing and marketing automation. It was a competitive time where there were there was primarily one other player in the space that came out of the Dynamics world as well, Core Motives. At that time especially, it's still true of the Dynamics industry today, but that time especially, everybody knew everybody. So it was fun we were super competitive. We love to go after things hard. We love to innovate, go out and meet partners, meet customers, tell our story. And John was such a dynamic leader. I mean, he loved to compete, and he kind of just instilled that in everything that we did as a company. It was a lot of fun.
So how did when you're at Click Dimensions, how do you make sure that what is on your roadmap from a product development standpoint? What kind of product is Click Dimensions when you were thinking about how that is going to evolve through time? How do you make sure that the features and functionality and that the overall roadmap that you're building there, how do you make sure that that's not going to become cannon fodder for Microsoft down the road, that they're going to think that what you're building, because to me that was always the scary part about that was if you're an ISV, or even if you're a systems integrator like the side that I've always been on, you would worry about that. How much are we going to invest in building accelerators or building out product with fear that Microsoft might come and decide that it's such a good idea that they're going to do it?
Well, yeah, again, I mean, that goes back. It was such a unique time. It was really, there was no marketing automation, no email marketing suite in the Dynamics world. So at the outset, we just looked at, what was in the marketplace for, especially for like Salesforce.com. And there were a couple of key players, and said, okay, Dynamics needs this too. And so that kind of made it easy to know, what to build in the beginning. What are the key features that a marketer is looking for, and it's going to attract them to look at Dynamics as opposed to Salesforce and Pardot at the time. But we also, had the benefit that we've always had a super close relationship with Microsoft. They, in fact, in those first couple of years, invited Click Dimensions into what was called BizSpark. And we went into BizSpark programs. And BizSpark was basically where Microsoft helps. They put some development and architecture resources in. And because we were building this in Azure, and at the time, Azure was pretty new, and we were stretching Azure beyond what it could do. So we had a lot of close cooperation with Microsoft. And in fact, those first couple of years, there were things that they rolled out in Azure that were because of us, that we were asking for, that we needed to do in order to scale, in order to deliver the performance that our customers needed. So that relationship with Microsoft was really helpful. And also, back then, Microsoft only really did major releases every 2 years. So we knew we had, at any given time, you kind of felt like you had a year or two before Microsoft, and you would have a good signal if they were going to dip their toe in the water in the marketing automation space. And so after about 2 years, actually, is when they kind of did, and they bought Marketing Pilot, which they called Microsoft Dynamics Marketing. And that was actually a lot of fun. I was a little scared because you're like, well, hey, Microsoft, we've had this great partnership, this great relationship. What's going on here? But it was not really the same thing. It was more marketing resource management. But it was actually a lot of fun to compete with Microsoft. And I guess we could say we might have celebrated a little bit when they retired that product.
I can see that.
But, and then they came back, last year with another, attempt at a marketing product. And Click Dimensions still has that competitive streak. And I think it's only going to serve to continue to sharpen what the company offers.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the things that you just mentioned about, how do you kind of shape the roadmap is you mentioned to look at the Salesforce, what was happening with the Salesforce ecosystem. And that's certainly something that I know from the systems integrator side, we've done that as well, right? Because if you just, especially back at that time, I think that the ecosystem that Salesforce had built out was a couple years ahead of Microsoft.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of nice to have that marketplace out there and the, understand who the winners and losers were in that space. And it kind of helped you, guide your own path as someone, competing in the dynamic space.
Yep. And it's been great to see how that's matured. I mean, there are so many more ISVs, so many, more mature solutions out there for customers. And now, anybody can go head to head, take Dynamics head to head with Salesforce in their ecosystem.
So speaking of, Microsoft announced a number of changes coming to the ISV program and AppSource. Have you had a chance to look through those? And if so, what are your thoughts on those changes coming?
Yeah, so actually I was pretty keyed in and working very closely with the leadership at Click Dimensions when word of what Steve Guggenheimer was doing with the ISV program started to trickle out. Sometimes it's a little confounding with Microsoft. The ISV program definitely needs changes. It's always been kind of shoehorned in. If you're a partner, they had a clear path. If you're a systems integrator, if you're selling licenses of Dynamics, they had a clear path for you to be a partner with them and move up from silver to gold and get certifications and, show the revenue that you've earned for them. But as an ISV, every year, that's something I did at Click Dimensions for a number of years. About the first 5 years was when it came time to renew our partnership with Microsoft. it was always like reinventing the wheel. And as an ISV, you always had to call somebody. And so all that to say, there are a lot of things that Microsoft needs to do to fix the ISV program. And I think some of the things they're announcing in these changes are really key. Improvements to AppSource, and their plans to really define how to do co-sell, where Microsoft sellers can market and sell your ISV solution along, right as they're selling Microsoft Dynamics or anything else. But I think my personal opinion is they're putting the cart before the horse with their request for revenue sharing. They're asking ISVs to self-report, and then starting this month, say, if you've sold anything and you're in the entry-level tier as an ISV, you got to give 10% of that revenue. Any recurring revenue that you've charged the customer on that contract, you have to give 10% to Microsoft. And I think it's fair to have an ecosystem where Microsoft is helping to market your product, helping to sell it, that they get a share. That's only fair. It's their platform that they've built. It's their ecosystem. But I think the fact that they're doing that before they really have a workable app source that can handle the billing for you, a customer can discover your solution, install it, pay for it without any intervention on your part as an ISV. I think they need to do that to earn that 10%. But that's my opinion. And I know it's throwing a lot of other ISVs out there for a loop. ClickDimensions is well established, but even these changes are going to take some time to absorb and to really work into how we're budgeting or planning and marketing and selling the solution. And I know every other ISV out there is going to face those same things, and not all of them have the resources behind them as a large ISV like ClickDimensions.
I agree 100%. Matt Wittemann, thank you so much for your time today, and good luck in the next part of your career.
Thanks, Brad. I look forward to being your colleague.
Thanks. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
That's all for today's Power Platform Daily Brief. Power on.